Welcome to a football show, Thursday edition. His name is Zach. My name is Braden. Welcome in. If you got some comments, if you got some questions, if you got some thoughts about the Titans Stadium, about Colts-Titans rematch part 2 after just one game in between for the Titans, two games in 3 tries here for the Titans. We'll take your questions. We got SEC week number 8 coming up as well, so a lot of stuff to do today on the show. Zach, how are you, sir?
Doing great. I don't know if you noticed, but I got a little Halloween decorations behind me, lost skulls. So we're ready to rock and roll.
As my 4-year-old would say, and I went to Jason Isbell on Tuesday night, it's Degradation Day, baby. It's Degradation Day.
There you
go. We've had the spider webs up outside the house, and we've got some zombies and some skeletons and all kinds of fun stuff outside. I am not a decorator at all for any holidays. I'm not really a big fan, but for some reason, Halloween, I've like turned into one of these weird over decorators now because my kids love it, and so on and so forth. So Halloween's now my favorite holiday. I don't know why, but there you go. Welcome to the show. If you got any questions, again, turn on the notifications. All kinds of good stuff today on the program. Are there going to be any changes? Because, again, the Colts-Titans just played a couple of weeks ago. We'll talk about that. We'll talk a lot about the new stadium and, again, SEC week number 8. Before we do, Zach, where can the good people find you and all your great work?
Wherever you get your podcast is where you'll find Football and Other F Words. And then you can also go to Broadway Sports Media's YouTube page, turn all notifications on for that, and you can watch Football and Other F Words if you are so inclined to do so. Not only that, you can go to BroadwaySportsMedia.com and you can see all my written work. You can see Mike Herndon's video work, his little film breakdowns that he does. Those are done every Thursday afternoon, Friday. I can't remember when it is. Then there's also Music City Audible, all that kind of stuff as well. All kinds of great podcasts over at Broadway Sports Media. Don't forget about the podcast over at 440 Sports. So go to the YouTube for 440 Sports. Lamestream Media this week has who? Braden.
It's been like we've been doing this show since April, and I'm not sure you've ever said the name of the show correctly.
Lamestream? What's wrong with that?
It is just I've kind of turned it into shorthand. Lamestream Sports is the podcast. So if you're searching for
it's not Lamestream Media?
Lamestream Sports is the podcast.
Oh, I always thought it was Lamestream Media.
Well, it
makes more sense because I thought that's what the phrase was about.
Technically, you are correct that it is a play off of mainstream media, but
you're not using media.
It's Lamestream Sports because we're talking about sports. So anyway, Nate Rao, our guest, of course, he's been making the rounds, but every single other interview is dog shit compared to this one. I guarantee you nobody asked the questions that we asked with the minutia and the detail that we asked him. We got about an hour of his time. He's always very gracious with us. So Nate Rao coming out on Lamestream Sports. So if you want to know exactly,
to be clear, not every interview that you've done on Lamestream Sports is crap. Every interview that Nate has done, is crap. That's
some
what
would
took
argue.
me aback. That's what took me aback.
Some would argue that we've failed miserably on occasion. But no, Lamestream Sports every Friday, wherever you get your podcasts, is about Nashville sports media and business. It's hosted by myself and Steve Cavendish of the Nashville Banner. Again, Nate Rao has done a bunch of garbage interviews this week. Not his part. He was great. Yes. But nobody really understands. And we actually talk about this in the interview, that nobody sort of really truly understands the details of the new Titans Stadium deal the way he does, and the way it actually works with metro politics, the way it works with the state politics, legislative office. And there's just so much there. We're not going to talk a lot about it today, but if you want to know a lot more, please go check that out. Coming out on Friday. A lot of really good stuff from Nate. He is a fantastic reporter. He has covered 4 different mayors in the city of Nashville. So there's nobody better. But I'll be very honest. As a sports talk radio host, I can say this. Sports Talk Radio is not the best place to talk about a new Titans Stadium deal. But podcasts are. So, again, tomorrow. Okay. All that being said, of course, lots of stuff on the show today. Make sure you check out all of our amazing sponsors right up there. The Pharmacy, of course, Beer Garden and Burger Parlor over there in East Nashville. Another gorgeous day on Thursday, heading into a great football weekend. So if you want a place to take the kids, less than $50. They got a kids menu. You could probably get out of there for like $50 or so after a nice hefty tip, of course, for your great server. But best burgers, tots, bratwursts, beers you're going to get in the city. So make sure you go check out the Pharmacy over there in East Nashville. If you're looking to build a $2 billion stadium, maybe call the Kingston Group, buildkg.com. Maybe have them do some help with the design, because I think that's the biggest problem. I think the biggest concern I have as a resident who drives past this building all the time. I want it to look good. I want it to look like our city. I want it to look fun. And you know what? The Kingston Group are great people to make your house or any project look good. Kingston Group, buildkg.com, Nashville's locally owned custom home and remodeling firm. And of course, Weiss Liquors. Uber Eats, search Weiss Liquors, have the booze delivered right to your house in as quickly as 20 minutes. Zach?
They drive so you could drink.
I think that was our best one.
You think so?
Well,
I feel like we've done a couple more that were a little bit better.
I have failed on the setup on a few occasions. You've maybe missed like once, but mostly it's been my problem. I think that was the best one together as a team. That was the best play action in breaking route that we've run the entire time. Go check out Weiss Liquors, of course. And we're going to talk a lot about play action and in breaking routes today on the show. So let's get right to it. Titans and Colts. Now, I cannot believe this. The Colts will have played their 5th divisional game.
Yeah, only one left. And it's all the way at the end of the year.
That is the most bizarre scheduling quirk that I've ever seen. And it means that if the Titans win, the Colts will be 1-3-1 in the division. If the Titans lose, the Colts are 2-2-1 in the division. And it does really, I mean, I'm kind of upset it's not later in the year, but it does really decide a lot of things in this division. So what is going to be different? Sorry, I messed up here.
Where are we going?
What is going to be different? There we go. What is going to be different in part 2 than will be in part number 1, which again happened just one game ago for the Tennessee Titans?
Absolutely nothing. Great analysis, I know. And I know that's exactly where you wanted to go with it.
What a build-up for that.
In all honesty, the Titans don't change anything. They never change anything. So I'd be very surprised if anything really, truly changes. I think that something should change. And I think that's what we're going to get into. But if you're asking me to put odds or bet money on the Titans changing the things that I tell them to change, that we both agree that they should change, they'll absolutely not do that because they hate listening to us, even though we're always correct.
Well, you are always correct. I am frequently incorrect, occasionally correct. So before we get to the specifics of what you actually want to see them change, let's quickly rehash what happened. Of course, the reason, remember, the Titans get out to a big lead, obviously on the back of sacking and pressuring Matt Ryan, forcing 3 turnovers. He does throw for 1 billion yards in the second half. The Titans make no adjustments. This is their drive chart from the second half. 3 punts, -6 yards, or 3 plays, -6 yards, punt. 3 plays, 3 yards, punt. 3 plays, 8 yards, punt. 5 plays, 13 yards, punt. Then they go into the 4-minute offense and get a first down on the final drive, and that actually seals the deal with the play action there to Chigakonkwo out on the flats. Derrick Henry is a big part of all those drives, did not establish much of anything. Matt Ryan threw for 1 billion yards, but it's because they were behind. So of those things, the key issues here, it doesn't, to your point, it doesn't feel like the Colts are going to sling it around and they got to try to protect Matt Ryan. The Titans are going to want to try to run the ball with Derrick Henry, which they did well in the first half against the Colts. This isn't rocket science this week. It's whichever one of those two things works the best, right?
Right. I mean, I look at it this way. You don't want Matt Ryan throwing for 50 plus times a game. That's not a formula to win. And I know that that last week, that's all they really had versus the Jaguars was because Jonathan Taylor was gone, Nyheim Hines was gone. That's all they really had. But at the end of the day, the Colts and the Titans are kind of built similarly. You're not going to win really consistently with your quarterback throwing as much as they did because your bread and butter is the run game. And so really, I'm kind of hoping that Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines are both healthy. Well, healthy-ish. So I hope that they're both available and playing because I want to shut that down and I want them to throw it with Matt Ryan because ultimately the Jaguars, for whatever reason, changed everything they did from their first meeting where they throttled the Colts. And the Titans have now swept the Colts last year, split the series before that the year before. Mike Vrabel has a good pulse on how to beat Frank Reich. He has the game plan. There should be some minor personnel changes, and obviously we'll get into that. But ultimately, you dare them to throw the ball on you. And you just hope that Caleb Farley's not out there for any considerable amount of snaps.
So here's the question about Matt Ryan and the Colts. So they had obviously last week against Jacksonville, they sort of forced themselves into a certain type of game plan, that 58 passing attempts for Matt Ryan. But the key there, no turnovers and no sacks. That's the difference, right? If he's going to throw
difference. compared to what their first outing was.
And for the Titans as well, they got pressure and they got turnovers, and that was sort of how they built their 24-point lead. So what is it that was different last week, in your opinion, for the Colts? I know they threw the ball to Pittman a ton, a lot of crossing routes, a lot of short under 10-yard completions for Matt Ryan, but they protected him. They didn't have Taylor or Hines, as you alluded to. So what is it that the Colts did differently? And do you think there's anything to be learned from that against Jacksonville last week for Titans fans this week?
Well, I think they used a lot of crossing routes on the offense, and that seemed to give the Jaguars fits, which is good news for Titans fans because that's all that the Titans like to run too. So I don't really understand why the Jaguars couldn't get pressure, because they didn't do anything drastically different. I get that they put Dennis Kelly out there, and oh my God, Dennis Kelly went out there and there's no pressures and blah, blah, blah. And ultimately, it was Trayvon Walker is just not as good as what everybody wanted to say he was after he got that one sack. Woo!
Shocking.
That one sack, man,
shocked.
That had the nerds of all aflutter on Twitter. I mean,
you mean the fifth best Georgia defensive player that was drafted in the first round is not as good as people think?
He's only had 18 pressures since that one sack. Like, it's a totally ridiculous. For your number one overall pick, that's not good. Doesn't mean that he can't get better or anything, but for your number one overall pick, that's not good, especially when Aiden Hutchinson and these other guys are putting pressure on a little bit more. Anyway, ultimately, the Jaguars just crapped their pants. I mean, right? I mean, yeah, the Colts did what they had to do to win, but ultimately the Jaguars just ended up letting this game go by them when they shouldn't have. And to me, that's the problem with this whole thing, is that everybody's kind of expecting that the Colts are back, but really the Jaguars should have won this game. And that just goes to show you the Jaguars just weren't as good as what everybody thought they were, including myself at the beginning of the year.
243 yards rushing allowed by the Colts last week. That's a big number.
Now you got to remember, I think the one of those plays was a 60-yarder from JaMychal Hasty.
Yep. As is tradition.
Yes.
No. So they got a big chunk yard, but that's still like 150, 180, 90 yards rushing. That's uncharacteristic for the Colts. I think what's fascinating about Matt Ryan, and you and I will always disagree on Michael Pittman. I think Michael Pittman's a really good player, but
I don't think he's not a good player. I don't think he's fucking Larry Fitzgerald.
That's fair.
like I don't think he's a top 10 elite wide receiver. He may be like top 20, 24, but I don't think he's an elite top 10 wide receiver.
He is he's on pace for 130 receptions, over 1,400 yards. He's a nice weapon that I want to see. We'll get to this. I want to see Christian Fulton on most of the game. But what I think is interesting about Matt Ryan, and I was saying that to then give you credit for sort of, how you've viewed Matt Ryan through almost all of this, which is that he's just, trash. What's fascinating about him is that there's no middle ground with him.
Right.
Like, he is either elite in the final minute and a half because he's got protection and because they're throwing really, really quick short passes and they're down and they're trailing and they have to do that and the game flow dictates that. And then they're great and he's got 3 game-winning drives and they scored, I think Vrabel pointed this out, 3 times in the final 30 seconds of games, which is impressive. And then like the other 58 minutes are just complete garbage because he just can't do anything without any his good and bad is so much further apart. Whereas Ryan Tannehill, for example, feels like his good and bad is real close together. Like, it doesn't feel like he's got these wild swings. I don't think he's an elite player, but I don't think he's bad at all. So I think he's kind of right where he is. Whereas with Ryan, it's these massive swings of good versus bad, and 58 dropbacks with no sacks, and all of a sudden they win a game. Like, okay, that's good Matt Ryan. But the rest of it, the way the Titans made him look in the first half a couple of weeks ago was atrocious. It was terrible.
Well, Mike Vrabel said it best in his press conference on Monday, which we talked about a little bit on Monday on the football show. And we talked about it on Football and Other Airports. Matt Ryan's, he wasn't specifically saying Matt Ryan, but quarterbacks are really great when they don't have any pressure. And guess what? Quarterbacks are bad when they do have pressure. And it's as simple can get, and that is the perfect descriptor of Matt Ryan. And that's where the Jaguars failed in trying to not. I don't know their blitz percentage specifically on that week, but We know that the Titans technically don't blitz a lot. They can get by with just sending 4. Bud Dupree is back. Amani Hooker is going to be back on the back end. Ugo Amadi looks to be back, which also helps, keep Caleb Farley off the field, which puts a better player out there on the field, which allows your pass rush to get to the quarterback. I kind of feel that you'll see essentially the same kind of fired up Titans defensive line that played against the Colts will be back. They are there on a mission. And what's interesting about this is that the defense performs generally well coming out of the bye. First off, games with 9+ days, and so bye week games typically. Mike Vrabel is 8-0. But what's even crazier is that they outscore opponents on average 30-11. So that means that the Titans defense comes out pretty hot and heavy. And Jeffrey Simmons said it today in the locker room. He essentially said, the reason I think we do so well is that first day of practice back. It is basically, we're fired up, we're ready to go, and this past Monday was our best practice of the year so far. But we'll see about the offense, because that's the question mark, right? The question mark is the offense.
I always love it when closed door meetings, player only meetings, best practice of the year. Like, I love all those phrases from football players. Like, first of all, has anyone ever what is an open door meeting? Like, what does that even look like? But like, our best practice, everybody always said, oh, we had our best practice. We had our best practice. And I get it. Like, to recharge from being around Vrabel, from being around the NFL, they have to take mandatory 4 days off, right? Like Thursday to Sunday, and then they're back. And I can totally get it. Like, Vrabel, and it's not just bye weeks, but if you go back, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but if
I think he's only lost one on any kind of extended time.
Coming off a Thursday night or going into a Monday night, they're always a little bit better. When he just has that one extra day to prepare, they're always better. And they should feast, because again, they're going to be healthier, hopefully, this weekend than they have been in a couple of games. So, but Dupree seems to be back. It looks like Hooker's tracking. Like, all these, there's good news here. I guess Oladeni going on IR is newsworthy, but it means they're not concerned about their pass rush at all in this game. So, the defense should absolutely be as good as it was in the first half. If Matt Ryan slings it around because they're trailing 24-3, those are wasted numbers. Like, that's not valuable statistical production.
They're specifically called garbage time stats.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just right there, stat padding. I mean, that's what people called Matt Stafford for the longest time, Stat Padford, because all of his stats were coming from behind.
Stat Padford. And then, but of course, if you do nothing on offense coming out of halftime, the way the Titans did in the last game and the way they've struggled all season, if you do nothing coming out of halftime, that's when those garbage stats all of a sudden turn into valuable numbers, and you all of a sudden bring the other team back into the game. And again, Matt Ryan with pressure and turning the ball over, very, very beatable. Matt Ryan, when he doesn't have pressure and is in the final couple of minutes, has been very good. So it was good last week against Jacksonville. I expect him to throw it a lot this time too. It looks like Hines and Taylor could both be back, as you alluded to. Are they fully healthy? No, there's no chance they could be fully healthy. But I do think this matchup, to me, I don't know. Tell me what you think. I would, as a fan, objectively, I would much rather have this game at the end of the year, because it just would build up and it would all of a sudden be maybe a winner take all type of deal. I think it helps the Titans that it's 2 weeks after the game. I think it helps the Titans that they didn't play well in the second half, barely got the win, and now they get to face him again. I think it helps.
I think it helps that this game is early in the year and it's coming after the bye week. I think that's actually what helps. I'd be a little bit more concerned, let's say, if there wasn't a bye week, but the Titans actually played a game. I may even be more concerned if the Colts had a bye week before they came into this game, but they haven't had one. Titans had the first bye week of the year. And I look at it this way. I am going to be interested to see what this offense does, because Todd Downing today on Thursday did his press conference, and he said that they looked inward, did their self-scouting, and they saw what plays they probably should have called more, what plays they probably can't be calling anymore, and got, dove deep into teaching technique and stuff. So I'm so interested to see what Todd Downing, when he looks back at these games, what plays he thought they needed more of and what plays he thought he doesn't need.
How much money would you spend to be in that meeting room where he's like, these are the 10 I shouldn't have called.
Yeah. Oh, I would let them keep the dollhouses in the new stadium if I could be in the offensive meeting rooms just for Todd Downing and see what he says.
That's some selfish shit. Let's not go crazy. Like, we got to get rid of those things. We'll talk about the new stadium coming up in just a minute, of course. Brought to you by Kingston Group. We're going to talk all about the construction process. Kingston Group, buildkg.com, of course, is the website, Nashville's locally owned custom home and remodeling firm. So it sounds like you are anticipating yet a 5th consecutive Victory Monday, which we will be live at the Pharmacy. Of course, Burger, Parlor, and Beer Garden over there on McFerrin Avenue in East Nashville. Our wonderful and amazing sponsor, the Pharmacy. Great brats, tots, and burgers, and a wonderful place to go sit and have a very relaxing beer and burger, especially on a Victory Monday. We're going for 5 here, Zach. We're shooting for a 5th consecutive, unprecedented 5th consecutive Victory Monday on the show.
Are you counting the bye week in that?
Vols.
Well,
I guess you.
Gotcha.
How about this? I think you won because you were so respectful of Tennessee's performance against your team, Alabama. I think you're one of the few, because this is a true story. I have a family member who was slapped by Jermaine Burton.
Oh, jeez.
And she's kind of out there floating around, and the stories, and the Alabama fans are not treating her particularly well.
Yeah.
Like, as expected on the internet, it's a terrible place for fans to talk about things like, I don't know, an altercation with a woman. But I think you've done I thought you were a great job as an Alabama fan. You were very grounded. I think some people even complimented you for that. I agree with them.
They get some compliments.
As you did, yeah. You take
there's nothing more that I need than more compliments.
And you take them quite well, very gracefully, of course. So it was a Victory Monday for Tennessee, right. University of. Gotcha. So I'm counting it as a Victory Monday.
Listen, if the Titans got to sweep the Colts, because if you come out the bye week, first off, you have everything going for you, right? You're coming out of the bye week. You know that Cody Hollister throwing him deep routes or throwing him out there for blocking. You know those plays don't work. You know certain things supposedly are out of the playbook, and you're going to go to maybe some more Chig, and you probably going to target Robert Woods more, probably going to get Kyle Phillips involved more because he's a little bit healthier. We don't talk about that enough. He's now a little bit healthier.
And returning punts.
And you got Ugo Amadi back, Bud Dupree back, Amani Hooker back. You got the guys that you need that were desperately missed. Even though they went on a big winning streak, they were desperately missed in the second half of games. Those 3 guys were missed. So you're getting all these guys back. And really, because of the bye week, they should be 100% healthy guys. And when you look at the Colts, even if they get Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines back, they're not going to be 100% healthy. It's not going to happen. So all this to say, you're limiting Caleb Farley's snaps, right? Because now Ugo Amadi's back, so there's really no reason that Caleb Farley should see the field. And props, I love what he said to Kayla Anderson in the locker room yesterday on Wednesday. But see you next year, Caleb. like to see you next year. We'll worry about.
Tell everybody what he said.
Well, he said, essentially this happened to me in college. And when I put it all together, you guys are going to forget all about the first few weeks of this year.
That's not underdog.
I'm not.
No, but that's not underdog mentality though.
No, he's never not had confidence. This idea that he's losing confidence. Obviously, those people that aren't paying attention, because he said words earlier in the year too, after the Buffalo game. He's done all this stuff. So I've never thought hasn't had confidence. I just think that there's a disconnect when the lights show up, and there's not that big of a disconnect between what's happening in practice and when the lights show up, because the Titans are talking about it. So he's got to put it together. Can't do it this week. Maybe we'll see him in the Dallas game or something. He'll come out there and he'll be all good and chipper and all this stuff. But you can't put him out there in the Colts game. Put him out in the Texans game or something. But a game that you know that you're probably going to win.
Texans is a good one, yeah.
But we can't be putting the training wheels on him at this point and letting him go out there if I'm the Titans. That's my mentality. Yeah, anyway, all this to say that the Titans should sweep the Colts. And what this means is that the Colts are effectively dead. And not only that, and props to Jim Irsay for guess having a moment of clarity. I guess he was sober during when he said this, but props to him for going against Dan Snyder and saying that Dan Snyder needs to get his ass out of the NFL. And I agree. And I think if you asked Amy Adams Strunk, she would agree. I think everybody, for whatever reason other than Jerry Jones, I think is typically probably going to agree. But all this to say,
I want to talk about that in just a minute, though.
Yeah.
So,
but all that to say, get Dan Snyder's ass out of there. But you know what's going to happen? What did Jim Irsay say all offseason leading up to the last Titans game? I fucking hate losing to the Titans. We cannot get swept by the Titans. We have to beat the Titans. And if you go 0-2, Jim Irsay, man, he's gonna be there's not enough cocaine in the world to keep him from firing.
Dude, with the addiction jokes. This is a man battling demons. Come on,
he's
now.
He's not battling them. He's embraced them.
Okay. Right.
When he goes to rehab, then I'll show him some sympathy.
Well, hasn't he? I mean, he's been on and off the opioid battle for a long time, so that's a pretty serious.
I don't think he's ever been off of it.
Maybe you're right, but that's a pretty. I mean, listen, you can hate the Colts and root for a human being to not like drug themselves into a coma. You know what I mean? Like, also, and I wasn't going to talk about this right now, but I do think Amy Adams Strunk, of all the people, of the 32, I think she has earned the right and has almost the most to say in this particular situation about Dan Snyder. Like, as a woman, she has a pretty big platform. She also has a lot of capital in this city right now as one of the most popular people in our state and our city. I'd like to hear her say something. I understand the politics of the ownership group and the votes and how difficult it is, and that most everybody in the NFL agrees with what Jim Irsay is saying, but they don't do it publicly, which to me is soft. And so I want to see, like, I get it. You don't want to set precedent by voting people out just on a whim. And because you're one of the owners too.
Like, it's not a whim, right? Like, that's the thing.
I agree. I agree.
This whole thing, this Deshaun Watson thing, the Dan Snyder thing. If you want to make statements, NFL, here's your chance. You get rid of Dan Snyder, you get rid of Deshaun Watson, and you've made two profound statements that we aren't going to put up with how the people associated with our shield treats its women.
Don't Washington fans want to get rid of Dan Snyder?
I don't think there's anyone that likes Dan Snyder. No, I don't think they've liked Dan Snyder for 10 fucking years over in Landover, Maryland.
Like, it makes it easy for, like, I don't have the same Colts hate as like the most ardent diehard Titans fan, which makes total sense. But
yeah, you're a huge Colts fan. You and Easton are the two biggest Colts fans I know.
Shut the fuck up. So what I think is interesting is I think it makes it even more fun if you crush the Colts on Sunday at home and you go 2-0, you make them 1-3-1 in the division, you take a commanding division lead, with the whole second half ahead of you. And you do it the week that Jim Irsay does the thing you like, which is stand up for like the right thing here, which is to say Dan Snyder has no place in our business. And what I meant by like on a whim is that they don't want to set precedent for just like voting an owner out of the NFL is a very, very, like, it has to be very particular because what they don't want to do is set precedent for the 32 to just be able to pick an issue and just vote somebody out whenever they want. And it has to be very warranted. This is obviously very warranted. I think, and I'm not being critical of Amy Adams Strunk here, like I'm not telling her what to do or that she's, wrong or whatever. I would like to hear what she has to say about this. Like that's if Irsay can do it, I think the female owner can do it, who has been in front of these issues as the owner of the Titans for the better part of her entire.
Well, get in your little media group chat and tell someone to fucking ask her.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because you know what? Jim Irsay puts himself out there, and these media guys, they're all about talking to Jim Irsay and videoing Jim Irsay because the Colts, the Colts. And
the guy who asked those questions actually did a brilliant job of asking.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't have asked him or anything, but what I'm saying is someone's got to fucking ask her, right?
Yeah.
I think expecting her to come out while she's doing all the new stadium stuff and all that stuff. Next time she's near a microphone or she's near a media guy at one of your all's practices, someone should fucking ask her.
That's valid. That's
cowards. Do it.
Wow. She doesn't
notice media.
She doesn't do a ton of like press conference.
No, but you don't have to do a press conference. Someone could just go over there and ask her, say, "Hey, Amy, hell, you could send."
I'll email PR right now. Yeah. I'll email PR right now and ask the question.
Yeah, I someone should ask. Tell Kim, what's the statement from the Titans on this Jim Irsay stuff?
Yeah, and again, by and large, we know that most everybody agrees with him.
Yeah.
They're just not willing to say it out loud. So again, this is not, it's sort of like partial criticism, not criticism. I just want to know what she has to say. So again, you're right. People can ask and we'll ask and we'll find
Get an
out.
official statement from the Tennessee Titans.
There we go.
I'm sure you just message old Kim Smith, talk to Stuart Spears or Burke Nyhill, talk to someone. Do something.
Just reach out to old Burke, who's not busy at all right now. We'll get to the stadium in just a minute. So are there before, so I know you want to talk about if they lose. Can I ask you a couple of quick questions about, like, do you expect to change at left tackle? Like,
I would say that right now I'm 60% sure that they are going to go with someone different at left tackle.
Okay.
I think that LaRaven Clark is familiar with the Colts. He used to be on the Colts practice squad and used to practice against the Colts and played against the Colts. So he's kind of familiar with what's going on over there with some of their defenders. So this would be the perfect time coming out of a bye to say, listen, Johnny Robb, he really fucked up trading a 5th round pick for Dennis Daly. We're going to go with LaRaven Clark and just see what happens.
So Johnny Robb is the bad drafter and J Rob is the good drafter.
Or our job. Some people have called him our job instead of J Rob. Our job is the bad drafter. So
okay. I want to see Christian Fulton on Michael Pittman all the time. I know they don't traditionally have him shadowing people. He did with McLaren last week. I'd like to 2 weeks ago, I guess I should say. I think that's a good one right there. I'd like to see that be a change.
They should. I don't see why Christian Fulton doesn't just follow everybody. Can your defense not work independently of one guy who is covering the best receiver? Shouldn't that make it easier? I don't know. I know some stuff like that just doesn't make sense to me. And that's a league-wide thing. I don't understand why your best cornerback's not always on your best wide receiver.
I'm curious if it's more about bringing. At the time, we thought it was going to be Farley. Then it became McCreary. Like, maybe it's the thought of bringing those guys along. It's easier if they're in the same spot.
Can't McCreary cover fucking Alec Pierce, that loser?
Wow.
I know Caleb Farley can't, but can't McCreary?
It's a good matchup, actually, because Pierce has gotten better as the season has gone along and has got some talent. But I would like to think McCreary is a better player in that one-on-one matchup. Anything else that you want to see? I mean, Derrick Henry run the football, pressure the quarterback. What else? Give me. Is there anything else different?
My main thing is that I want to see Chiga Okonkwo. I want to see him get targeted 5 times a game now. I mean, okay. 5 to 6 times a game, he should see a target, and I think that's good for a rookie tight end, and especially a rookie tight end as good as he is.
Okay, all right. Now, it sounds wonderful to beat Jim Irsay, go make them 0-2, and while he's like out there campaigning for like the good cause, that all feels real great and real nice. What happens if it goes the other way?
The Titans are just bad. Like, I know that they can still win the division, right? It's not over, but they're just a bad football team. If they lose to the Colts, they're just a bad football team because they are better than the Colts. And I even in my darkest hour during this show, I've always thought that they are at least better than the Colts. I know that they are better than the Colts. So that has not changed. And that's been like that for the last 2 years. I've thought that. And at this point, you've now let the Colts in, and they still have a chance to win the division. Like, it's insane right now not to go ahead and put away the Colts, because then they're going to have to win a bunch of non-divisional games to even try to catch up with you, which is not going to happen more than likely. And if they lose, that just proves that the stats are right? I mean, they are 21st in defense. They're 21st in offense. In terms of yards, they're 28th in offense or 31st in offense, 28th in defense. Like, those things just prove right there that you are just a bad team.
If you lose to the Colts at home, coming off the bye, I would agree with you. That's sort of just like one of those unacceptable moments. Now, we know the NFL does weird things, but you are healthier. They are not. You're at home. They are not. You're off the bye. They are not. And I kind of agree with you. Like you said, it's not over.
Barring 13 injuries happening specifically to Ryan Tannehill, to Derrick Henry, to Robert Woods, to Jeffrey Simmons, to Kevin Byard, and to Christian Fulton, all at the same time. They're riding tandem bicycles and they get into a car crash and they can't go. They just can't go. That is the only way that's the only excuse that this team should lose that game, that all those guys are out.
Have you ever ridden a tandem bicycle?
No, I have not. They look fun, though.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think the wife would do it?
Person. Huh?
You think the wife would do it?
Oh, no. Hell no. I wouldn't do it with her.
Are you concerned about hand-eye coordination?
I don't know if she can ride a bike.
How can you not ride a bike?
I don't know.
I've never ridden a tandem bike. I'd like to see TR Tart and like who else? TR Tart, and let's go with like Bud Dupree on a tandem bike and see how strong the metal is.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Bike.
I like it.
I've never ridden a tandem. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
And now if they lose, and if you need something for your pregame tailgate, by the way, before the game, make sure you swing by Weiss Liquors right there next to the stadium. It's right there by the stadium. It's a perfect place to stock up on all your booze needs for the weekend. And if you're watching the game at home, just Uber Eats, Weiss Liquors. They'll bring booze right to your house in as little as 20 minutes.
They drive so you can drink.
Boom. And if they lose, and they are just a bad football team or an average football team, and the numbers are what they are what we thought they are.
I don't want to hear, if they lose, I don't want to hear a win's a win, because no, it's not.
If that were to happen, and you're leaving the game, and you don't feel good about what you saw, you're probably going to want a beverage. So swing by Weiss Liquors on the way out of town. Pop in there. Talk to Andrew, the manager. They got a great bourbon selection. So make sure you check out the bourbons. He's excellent on the wines. He's a very approachable guy. He's not going to talk down to you about wines, because I always talk to sommeliers and I feel like an idiot and I hate it. I don't like talking to people like that. But this guy, Andrew's great. I've talked to him for 10 years now. He's wonderful. He'll give you some advice on what the wife might want for wine. Maybe she's the bourbon drinker and you're the wine guy. I don't want to pigeonhole people, whatever. But go to Weiss Liquors when you leave the game if they were to lose. If they were to win and you want to celebrate, go to Weiss Liquors also. So I don't, just go to Weiss Liquors. Yeah, just go to Weiss Liquors. So let's get into anything else. Are we making official predictions? I don't really make official predictions, but anything else on the game
Titans
itself?
Win. I mean, for the love of God, if they don't win, oh shit! Just
what do you look like if are you at the house just like pacing around? Like, what does Zach Lyons look like when the Titans are losing to the Colts when they shouldn't?
Just chilling,
just sitting around. You're just
sitting around.
Just all right, Zebo.
Who am I going to perform for? Just myself? I mean, it's just me, and it's me and Huxley. Just sitting on the couch. I mean, he's in my lap, snoozing.
So there's no ranting or raving. There's nothing. There's no throwing things. There's no cussing. Like, you cuss on this show all day.
Yeah. That's why I don't cuss. Listen. I'm going to the Lizzo concert on Sunday. If this motherfucking team loses, it's over. Like, I'm thinking about Lizzo.
Turned up. You'll swing by Weiss Liquors on the way into the concert.
Yeah, me, and my wife and Stoney and his wife, we're heading to the Lizzo concert. Win, lose, or draw, it doesn't fucking matter. I'm a bad bitch. I ain't got time for that.
Stoney, keep your shirt on, please. That's all I ask. Just keep the shirt on. That's it. You both have lovely wives, by the way. Wonderful people. I'm not sure what they see in either one of you, but it's fine.
I'm not either.
I say the same thing about my wife. It makes total sense. Okay. We are a football show. That is Zach. I am Braden. We are brought to you by the Pharmacy, Kingston Group, and Weiss Liquors, all locally owned businesses, owned and operated in the city by people who live here. How about that? So make sure you check out all three of those wonderful and amazing locally owned title sponsors. And speaking of construction groups, again, if you need something for your house, Kingston Group, buildkg.com. But big new Titan Stadium news. If you want a really detailed, like in the minutia about how every dollar is arriving, where it's arriving, and where it's coming from, and what it affects, if you want all of that, go listen to Nate Rouse's interview with us on Lamestream Sports coming out on Friday morning. If you're listening to this, obviously on Friday, it's already out, so go check that out. Everywhere you get your podcast, Steve Cavendish, myself, long conversation with Nate. So if you want to know about, the $840 million from the Titans in the NFL and $500 million from the state and the sales tax capture and the 1% hotel motel tax and the 65 million in debt that the city is the Titans are sort of taking off the city. Like, there's a lot of details in there. But what you need to know, 2026, for those that have not heard, which I can't believe you haven't, but 2026 is where they're targeting. It should be about 55 to 60,000 seats. It's going to have to be a dome. That is how the money has been given to the city and to the Titans and to the NFL is for it to be a dome. That's it. Full stop. You don't get the $500 million from the state if it's not a dome. Like, that's it. So it's going to have to be a dome. It's going to have to pass city council. So it is not an approved deal yet. But
I thought that was the most misleading tweets that came out from respected media members who said, you get your new stadium. Titans get their new stadium. Well, yeah, I mean, they are more than likely, but like, let's settle down. It's still got to go through the city council and stuff.
Yes, it's got to be. There's 39 city councilmen. Normally there's 40. There's one person who I believe is retired or stepped down. So there's 39, which means there needs to be 20 yes votes. It is a yes or no vote. There's probably not going to be too many amendments, if any at all. It's probably going to happen in the next couple of months. So you're probably thinking sometime late December, maybe early January before they go into the next big session, because all they need is a yes or no vote. And if you vote no on this, which I don't think many people will, if you vote no on it, all you're doing is sending it back to the negotiating table. You're not, you can't actually say like, I'm voting no, but I want this to be changed. Like you can't, right. like they're not doing, it's just a yes or a no. I think most people expect it to pass with maybe less infighting than most political arguments. And here's why. This is the nugget from Nate Rao that I'll deliver to you guys here on a football show. And that is because we believe or expect the big fight for city council to be the East Bank development, the 130 acres around the Titan Stadium, where a lot more stuff is on the line. Affordable housing, transportation, green space, greenways. They're supposed to put the parking garages for the new Titan Stadium underground, which is a cool thing, because then you can make the green space out there by the river be a real functional place. I heard you guys talking about.
Man, that is going to be, I didn't know it was going underground, but that is going to be wild.
That sounds like a mess.
Tennessee and Kentucky drivers that come in from Kentucky trying to exit an underground parking structure. Oh my gosh.
Yikes. Now,
just get a fucking Uber, you loser driver.
I love outdoor stadiums. I love natural grass. I know you're big on the turf.
I don't care either way. Just bring me a new fucking stadium that gets a Super Bowl. So I don't like, to me, this idea that you guys could sit at home and say, "Well, that's turf and that's grass." I don't fucking believe it.
Oh, that you're wrong on that.
Yeah, I
can look at a screen and in 5 seconds tell you if it's natural grass or not. Now, part of that's because I know the stadiums.
We're gonna put that to the fucking test.
I love it. Now that's kind of cheating though, because I already know which stadiums are and aren't.
You're not gonna know. You're just gonna see a picture of grass.
Oh,
that's all you're getting.
Oh, we're gonna live stream that shit.
Yeah,
for sure.
Oh, I will be pulling. I'm just gonna. You're not gonna know what stadium it's from. You're just gonna see some grass, and you're gonna have to tell me, is that turf or not?
Well, okay, hang on. Like,
it doesn't matter about the fucking stadium that's in. Of course, yeah, I know every dome and everything. Right. That doesn't count. You have to specifically know by looking at it if it's turf or not.
Right, but it can't be like a zoomed in, like in between the 2 yard lines, and it's just like that. It has to be like a TV shot. Like it has to be an actual TV shot.
No, because then you're just basing your information off the other surroundings.
No. I don't want to cheat. I'm not trying to cheat. I don't want to win like that, dude. I don't want to win like that. But you said you can tell by watching your television, which means you don't get to zoom all the way in and crop out the yard markers and like make it look impossible to tell.
But if you're your information, what I'm saying is your information basing it off the grass is based off knowing that it's in a dome.
I don't think so.
Oh, that's why we're going to test it my way.
I can't wait.
Okay, that's why we're going to test it my way.
I like it. We can do it your way. That's fine. I'm not scared. If you
should be.
If you're scared, buy a fucking dog. All right. So there's a couple of quick things we can discuss here. And that is, what is it going to, because there's one thing that you guys talked about this on the F Words pod. Everybody go listen to it. You and Mike Herndon. You rattled off a lot of numbers about the economic impact. And there's actually a lot of studies that indicate a stadium has zero economic impact on the area. Now,
take it up with Titans, not us.
I know. And you mentioned this on the pod. It's propaganda
when you're messaging Kim Smith to get
why
Amy
is
Adams
Kim
drunk.
Why is Kim
because she's
catching
a
all these
PR
strays?
person, right?
She's catching lots of strays.
No,
man.
she's not. She's not catching a stray. She's the person that you contact, right?
She's one of 3 or 4. Yeah.
Oh, I thought she was the one. I was saying that she's not catching a stray. I'm just saying when you message her about Amy Adams drunk to get the statement, also ask her about these numbers that came out and they're, because that's all we did was just read the numbers that the Tennessee Titans provided.
I know. And then you said that as well. You made sure it was very clear. But what happens is it's not really quantifiable. Like, because again, all that economic impact is real, but it's all real for people who own hotels. The Titans make the most money off this because they go from one of the lowest third ranked franchises in terms of value to like middle of the league in terms of actual financial dollars. So the Adams family benefits, and Amy Adams specifically benefits more than anybody in all of this because the value of their property has skyrocketed with the new stadium and with all this stuff that's going to be around it. But there is like this ripple effect that's hard to quantify, which is like restaurants and apparel companies and like, you know, there's all kinds of stuff that gets impacted by this. You mentioned jobs, which is a really important one. So there is a lot of reasons to have an NFL team in your city, right? Like just because you can't quantify it doesn't mean it's not incredibly valuable for your city. And the tax dollars that were recouped off the Music City Center, people thought the same things about that. Well, how are we going to cover the cost of the sales tax? How are we going to do that? And actually, it's overachieved in huge ways. It's delivered more money to the city than we ever imagined. And John Cooper's actually funneled more money into things like the police department and education and all this other stuff from the Music City Center than we ever expected. So long way of saying, like, it's hard to quantify the economic impact of having the new stadium. It's going to benefit a lot of people downtown. It's going to benefit a lot of business owners downtown. I am a family of 4 a couple of miles from the stadium who lives in the neighborhood, who has kids that go to Metro. The number one thing I care about is that we are no longer on the hook for whatever the cost of the renovations would have been. I don't want to hear anybody argue about $400 million versus $1.7 billion. I don't care if it's $400 million or $700 million or $1 billion or $1.7 billion. It's a whole lot of money that's going to come out of my kids' education fund, no matter what the number is. If we are on the hook for it, it's a shitty deal. We're on the hook for it. And guess what? We as taxpayers voted for it in the late 90s to bring them here. So it's our bad deal, and a deal's a deal. And this gets us out of that deal, whether you like it or not. So that's number one. Number two, what does it look like? What does it look?
I'm going with I say it's you know, more of a Superman crest, just based on geographical
full comic book.
But you know, Batman building, Superman crest. It's not going to be an S, but you know, it's going to be a guitar pick more than likely. And I'm just going to call it the Superman Stadium because even a guitar pick still kind of looks like.
So when you look down, it looks like a guitar pick, as you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite parts of the entire story so far, and this is all just personal, for me, is Burke Nihill, the CEO of the Titans, used the phrase Ryman Auditorium as sort of like building it into the city, making it feel like it's a part of the city, making it feel unique to Nashville. They obviously have already got a design team that's been working on this, the same group that did the Raider Stadium and a few others. So they're obviously down the road on some of this stuff conceptually. But I would love to see some sort of brick, mortar type of exterior that doesn't look like a UFO spaceship was dropped on Soldier Field. Like, I don't want to see SoFi Stadium glass. I don't want to see, like, I've been to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. It's gorgeous for Atlanta. I don't want big steel bubble sitting there in the middle of my town. I want it to feel like it's a part of Nashville. So I actually care a lot more about what it looks like and how it functions for people inside the stadium, because we know all the money and we know it's going to bring Super Bowls and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, we know all that stuff. What does it actually look like in our city, I think, is important. So,
well, I think on the inside, the customer experience or the fan experience is going to be awesome. I mean, listen, I know people are like, well, why are they only doing 60,000? If you read what they said, it is 60,000 is where they're starting at. Now, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to go over it, but they said they didn't want to shoot, at 67, 68, then get in there and say that, well, there's 8,000 seats here that don't fit what we are looking for. Because what they're looking for is that every seat in the house is a good seat. Your 300 sitting up next to the shitty ass Ring of Honor signs that are put together by cardboard, poster board, and zip ties are going to be gone. And you're going to have a better seat.
Yeah, it's quality over quantity is what they're going for, and that's
60,000 still gets them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and that is the key. Is it's not even just about like quality for Titans fans in that game. It's quality for every event, but it's quality for their big corporate partners who pay for big things like Super Bowls, college football playoffs, Final Fours, CMA Fest,
seats
WrestleMania.
On the field.
So.
Can we get seats on the field like all these? The Dallas Cowboys have the the entrance, everything's
down low.
ground
Yeah,
level.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I want some more ground level stuff, like suites and maybe some
That'd be cool.
outdoor seating.
One of my favorite things about Mercedes-Benz is they have these little booths that are sort of and actually Nashville SC kind of has this in a like a kind of a dumbed down way or a simplified way, I should say. In the corners where you have like the all you can eat, all you can drink sort of area where you can kind of lounge a little bit more and kind of sit,
Yeah.
you have more space. What Mercedes-Benz Stadium has is they've got these like four tops where you can like sit at like a table but they're comfortable chairs that all kind of pivot.
They have
and face
actual
the field.
sit-down fucking restaurant in there.
Yes.
I mean, I went there for the Super Bowl, so they have a sit-down restaurant in there.
Yeah.
They have fountain machines, which we've talked about numerous times. That can help alleviate some of the cost. Yeah. But they actually have full-on bars too, where you can sit at the bars, not just four tops. So they have full-on bars where you can sit up there
and see the field.
And see the field.
See the field, yeah. But down like one
Gone
section...
is that little fucking buffet area in the club level in the Titans where you don't fucking see anything. It's such a pointless part of the stadium.
I know it's funny you bring up that area because our charity, Our Kids, shout out to Our Kids. We do our Soup Sunday event there every February, and you never feel like you're in the Titans Stadium,
right?
Because you do this entire event with 2,000 people, and it's a wonderful place, and there's all these restaurants doing all these soups, and you never can even see the field.
Right.
Like you never even see it. And you're like, oh, wait.
It's more like you're at the Renaissance Hotel bar.
Right.
Like, or their little restaurant.
Right. So I want it to feel more natural. I don't love all the glass that's being built in the city. I don't think it's going to last. I think it's like from a stylistic standpoint, I think it's going to go out of style pretty quickly. So I don't want to see them just do like a glass sheet of wall like we've got everywhere in town. Like bake it into old Nashville. Make it look a little bit more like old Nashville, like First Avenue, like the Ryman. Like some of these beautiful old houses we've got in North Nashville and in East Nashville and in Sylvan Park, and like make it feel a little bit more like it's part of the neighborhood, I think, which would be a really cool idea. So again, that's for fancy designers to do. Again, those seats in Mercedes-Benz down from the bar you're talking about, again, it's like padded seats that swivel at a. You can put your beer down and have like your food there. You could, there's a lot of space to move around. So think about that when you think about 60,000 seats. It's not about packing as many people in like Neyland Stadium is. It's more about making everybody that's in there as comfortable as possible.
Neyland Stadium has gone down in seating capacity.
Yep.
For
we are gone from the massive stadium thing. Like it is not what people want. They want good Wi-Fi. They want good sight lines. They want high quality food, and they want a comfortable experience. If they're going to pay that amount of money, they need to have that when they get there. So I know we got some SEC football to get to, but like obviously this was a huge game with the Colts and big stadium news. If you want, again, a lot more details, Nate Rao from Axios knows everything there is to know, has covered 4 mayors and all kinds of stadium debates. Lamestream Sports Podcast out on Friday morning.
I couldn't even name you 4 fucking mayors of Nashville. I can only name you John Cooper.
You can't go like David Briley, Megan Barry.
Oh, yeah, Megan Barry. I can't believe I forgot Megan
Bredesen.
Barry. Oh, was Phil Bredesen a mayor? Well, I thought he was a governor.
Well, I think he switched around. Or is it the other Bredesen? I don't know. I get all the firsts.
I can't believe I forgot Megan Barry. I should have known Megan Barry.
Yeah, you know more than you think. There you go.
Yeah. Should have known Megan Barry.
Sometimes I can't handle you sometimes. All right, let's talk SEC real fast. T's and P's, Mississippi State. Thoughts and prayers.
I mean, I'm not feeling Alabama right now because normally I would be like, yeah, they are going to beat down Mississippi State. But now I'm like, they just need to beat down Mississippi State because the shit that was coming out from this press conference from Will Anderson, from Nick Saban, it's just bad. This is so unlike a Nick Saban team right now that he has players shitting themselves because they're entering in Neyland Stadium.
Wait, you're talking about Will Anderson just like talking about mental health or what?
No, he didn't talk about mental health.
Anxiety or whatever?
Yeah, it was. I mean, he said the whole team. Do you think they had groupthink anxiety? Is it like they started all cycling at the same time? Like, give me a break. They're just
cycling at the same time.
Like, come on. I mean, at some point, Nick Saban's having a tough go of it this year, and it's because his team's not as talented as normally is. But when Will Anderson comes out and says, yeah, Nick's right. We weren't really feeling it because, man, we were just nervous. Fuck, man. I mean, this is not the game to be nervous in. And now, you're at home. You should feel more comfortable. You should have your security blanket of being at home and having all the crimson red
Like
in the stands.
Do you put a storm jacket on Huxley when there's a storm?
No, he doesn't need one. He's not scared of storms.
So Will Anderson's scared of storms is what we're saying.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, he obviously is scared of rain. Just a little rain. He probably doesn't even drive in. He probably just stays home. Can't even go practice.
Do you know the score of this game the last 2 years combined?
All I know
do you know what it is
that it doesn't matter what happened the last 2 years because this Alabama team does not matter. Those last 2 years don't matter.
90-9.
It better
Alabama.
be 90-9 on this one game because they need it. They are in so desperate. They're in dire straits to get a massive beatdown. I think if you're talking about like a 24-21 win, you still get the same old problems, and you can't believe in this Alabama team.
I agree with that. If that happens, I would lay the 21 points with everything I own. I would. All
right.
Listen.
Listen. When we know you're not here on Monday because you lost your car and lost your house.
Will Rogers, who threw for 4,700 yards last year, which would have been an SEC record if not for Joe Burrow and Bryce Young, has not thrown a touchdown in 2 games against Alabama, and they have been beaten 90-9 in 2 games. And now Bama's coming off a week where they lost. I can imagine
they haven't handled the loss very well this week, though. I
imagine the week of practice was pretty salty. I imagine it was pretty salty. I would take Alabama, lay the 21. That's what I would do. I think I agree with you. If it is not, and they struggle, and it is a close game, then we can talk about road trips to LSU, road trips to Ole Miss, and maybe a 2-loss team or a 3-loss team that can't get back to Atlanta. But right now, they control their own destiny. And they have a schedule that they can handle. So we'll see. But Auburn's still in there as well. So I don't know. I feel pretty comfortable with Alabama this week against Mississippi State.
All right.
So
I'm a little less comfortable. It's
okay. It's okay. That's understandable coming off a loss to Tennessee.
And speaking of Ole Miss and LSU, like you said, we have I'm calling it the make me believe game. Like, make me believe in you, Ole Miss. Make me believe in you, LSU. Like, someone make me believe that they are actually a good football team and a good high quality football team.
I think they're both good football teams. I don't think that's up for debate. I mean, Ole Miss is a top 10 team. LSU is favored in this game by a couple of points at home, which has not happened very often. I think 5 times all of last year, a top 10 team was an underdog to an unranked team, which is what's happened in this game. The LSU's defensive line is uniquely qualified to stop Ole Miss's strength, which is running the football. But I completely agree. All of this and the talent level there for LSU is probably a little bit deeper than Ole Miss. Jackson Dart, he hasn't been asked to win them a game yet at quarterback for Ole Miss through the air in particular. I agree with you on how you've labeled this. Are you for real, Ole Miss? If you are, you're going to go down to Baton Rouge and win as an underdog. If you're not, well, you got 5 really tough games that end the season, and LSU is going to be your first loss. So
yeah, in a slate of SEC games that is just, we talked about all year about all the great football and all this. There's so many teams not playing this weekend. It is just these 2 games. Like, these are the only 2 games that are worth your salt and watching and worth your time. Well, go talk to your family this weekend and get a little get a little bit of quality time with them. And build up some goodwill, because you watch these 2 games and then you spend the rest of your time around on them. They'll be like, "Whoa, what happened to the 3rd game?"
Well, in Alabama, you might be done watching by the end of the first quarter.
There you go.
If it plays out the way I think it will. You got some good. You got UCLA and Oregon, which is awesome. You got a couple of good Big 12 games. But in the SEC, Tennessee's playing Martin. That's an easy W. That's a nice, relaxing way to come off the win against Bama. The other one to watch though, and Vandy's at Missouri, which is one of the few opportunities for both of those teams to get a win. It will be ugly, ugly football. But it's an important game for both coaches. What's really interesting, though, is the one between 2 unranked teams. South Carolina at home against A&M is really interesting because South Carolina could get to 5 wins if they beat A&M. And A&M after 7 games could be 3-4. After being preseason top 10, guaranteed contract, all the offseason chatter with Fisher and Saban, for them to fall to 3-4, they're only a 3-point favorite. I like them to win, Zach, but if they fall to does DEFCON go up or doesn't it go down? Like, isn't DEFCON 1
DEFCON 1 is the worst.
The worst, yeah. This goes to DEFCON 1 in College Station. If they lose to South Carolina,
but they can't do anything. It's like you're getting mad over nothing.
I agree,
right?
With you.
I mean, like, at that point, it's like the people who we talked about football and other F words who get mad that CJ Board is on the practice squad over Josh Gordon. Like, you're just really just fucking wasting energy, because guess what? You've said it all this whole time, this whole year, because I've asked you a few times. He ain't going anywhere.
Nope.
So fuck it.
No, he's not.
Look at just get fucking drunk or just quit watching the sport and move on to basketball or something. Like just do something different with your life.
We have reached the F words portion. We've reached the F words portion of the football show is what we've done, which I appreciate greatly. So you're right, though. It's good advice. Pay attention to Ole Miss and LSU. There's no 11 o'clock game really in the SEC this weekend. So like I'm with you. Earn some points this weekend.
Right. Do some stuff on your honey-do list. Like this is free marriage advice. You don't tell them though. Well, there's not a good football game on. Just say, you know what? I just kind of woke up this morning and felt like doing these chores. I've been kind of putting them off, and I'll watch some football later. No,
this is a messaging strategy. This is what John Cooper is doing right now with the stadium. Like, look what I've done for Davidson County taxpayers, even though I didn't really do anything. It was all the state and the legislator and the NFL and the Titans.
The worst thing you do is like when they're asking you, oh, why are you doing this? Say, well, there's no good football on. So
no.
Yeah,
you
don't do that.
You got to be like, listen, honey, I will do this for you. I will sacrifice my time watching college football because I care so much.
Don't lay it on too thick.
About that closet getting cleaned out. I know we've been talking about it. I know it needs to get done, and I will take care of it during the games for you if you let me go to the Lizzo concert tonight.
That's Sunday, though.
Sunday, whatever.
Sunday concert.
That's what it is. So, all right. I think that just about does it. Special thanks to the pharmacy for supporting us. Of course, the Beer Garden Burger Parlor over there on McFerrin and East Nashville. Make sure you swing by. Beautiful afternoon on Thursday. The weather this weekend, by the way, is supposed to be super awesome. Like high 70s, sunny. So go check out the pharmacy over there. Perfect time to go do it. Kingston Group, of course, if you're making a big decision about your house, buildkg.com. You got Weiss Liquors, Uber Eats, search Weiss Liquors, great bourbon selection. Check them out. They'll deliver the booze to your house, to your doorstep in as quickly as 20 minutes.
They drive so you can drink.
Oh, that 3 for 3 today on the show, man. 3 for 3. So check out all those locally owned businesses right there. Of course, we do appreciate all their support. Locally owned and operated here in Nashville for almost 100 years for Weiss Liquors. So cool stuff there. All right, Zach, where should people go to find all of your good work, and what should they do to consume all that good work?
They should go to BroadwaySportsMedia.com. Sign yourself up for a membership, because guess what? That's how you get to watch stuff like the Mike Herndon Show. That's how you get to read all these articles. Some of them you get early access to, and some of them you can only read if you get paid. So go to BroadwaySportsMedia.com, get you a Broadway Insider Pass today. And then go to the Broadway Sports Media YouTube page and turn on notifications. Go to the Go 440 Sports YouTube page and turn on notifications.
One more time.
Just because that's how you know that we are live and how you can interact and talk with us on the show and ask us questions. We are wanting to answer your questions, even if they are ridiculously dumb.
Don't insult them. Don't insult them.
I'm not insulting them, just insulting their questions. Even if they are ridiculously dumb questions, we'll take them. We'll answer them. And look, go to at FWordsPod. Turn on notifications for all my tweets, because I put out only high quality content, never just, not all mature content.
No empty calories, all nutritional content on the F Words Pod Twitter feed, at Braden Gall, at 440 Sports as well. Again, turn on all the notifications. Here, how about this? Just tell one person about a football show. Just say, hey, I was listening to this show. Didn't suck. Zach and Braden are all right. I was listening to it. Go check it out. Just tell one person about the product. We really, really appreciate it. And go check out all of our wonderful and amazing sponsors right there above me on the show as well. Get some honeydew stuff out of the way on Saturday morning during that 11 o'clock window, but don't tell anybody about it. Just take the points. There you go. I think that's about it. Otherwise, have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy the weather. Yeah, what else you got?
Hey, I got one more thing. Because I have Broadway, I'm got access to the Broadway Insider Pass, obviously, because I work at BroadwaySportsMedia.com. So if you have a Broadway Insider Pass, you could have gone and seen the Titans' terrible takes today, because they were early today. They're normally out, on Friday, but they're early today. And you were on there, Braden.
Oh, I was. I made my debut.
And I would like for you to know that Taco Bell is fucking amazing food, and how dare you besmirch Taco Bell among the fast food industries.
That does it for the show. No. Listen, it's just like my opinion, man. That's just my opinion,
it's just
man.
Objectively wrong. I've never seen a more objectively wrong opinion.
Listen, The take was misconstrued. It was taken out of context. Okay. The context was who gets more free earned media coverage with less quality than Taco Bell? And the answer is nobody. Maybe In-N-Out.
Totally.
Maybe In-N-Out. In-N-Out gets a lot of run, and I think they're overrated. Sorry. You know who else is overrated? Chick-fil-A. Sorry.
Oh, I'm with you on that.
Sorry. I don't need it. Listen, I had a Taco Bell phase. My wife had a Taco Bell phase. We love Taco Bell.
I had Taco Bell last night.
When I was 21 years old, it was great. Now it's garbage. If you want great food, go to the pharmacy, everybody. Okay, go check out the pharmacy. I'm honored to have made it on there.
Yeah.
Finally, it only took me a year. You think with all
the
garbage?
You may have been on there one more time, but
no. 440 was on there for a Stillman tweet, which I stand by because it was correct. It was not a bad take. It was an accurate take. This one is also an accurate take, not a bad take. It is one of my favorite pieces of content, though, every single week. So make sure you go check that out on Broadway Sports Media. It's fantastic. With all the garbage I spew on Twitter, I can't believe it took this long for me to get on there. So I do appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend, everybody. Titans, SEC. Everybody have a good time. Pharmacy, Kingston Group, Weiss Liquors, Zach Braden. This has been a football show.